You're watching college football now. The transfer portal, college football free agency, the coaching carousel, it's all underway, and it's pretty fun to have what is a real college football offseason with tons of player and coaching movement. If you love college football and you want more videos from us here at Chat Sports, including a live show later today on Wednesday, show us you do by liking the video right now. This is College Football Now. I am Tom Downey, and we're taking a look at the top 15 quarterbacks currently in the transfer portal. So guys like Cade McNamara don't count. They've already found their new destinations, and no projections for who could potentially hit the portal. We're going from 1 to 15 on today's show, beginning with Devin Leary, the NC State quarterback who entering the year had some, I'll call it sleeper pick for the Heisman because he was coming off a great year and NC State was supposed to be good. And like many of the quarterbacks on this list, didn't play nearly as well this season. Injuries a part of it here too, but he went from 65.7% completion, 35 touchdowns, 5 interceptions to 61.1, 11 and 4. Very curious where Leary ends up, assuming he does. You can always go back and leave the portal and go back to your current team, but he might be looking for a better destination in terms of higher profile schools to help boost his potential NFL draft stock next year as a fifth-year player. We got, of course, 14 more names to go. There's disagreement on who was number one, even in the Chat Sports offices here. Who do you think is the best quarterback in the college football transfer portal right now? Drop that name for me in the comments section. Number 2, Spencer Sanders, the Oklahoma State quarterback. This one wasn't that surprising. Kind of seemed like things had just kind of run their course between Sanders and that program. But again, another theme of not quite as productive in terms of the reliability from Sanders this past year at Oklahoma State. 57.6%, 2,642 yards, 7 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. Not quite as good as 2021. There is some dual threat ability, and it's not often you can actually find a multi-year starter, although in the transfer portal this year, there are a few more examples of that than what there had been in years past. Sanders is a veteran. He's a proven player. He will be a starter wherever he chooses to end up going, but doesn't seem like Oklahoma State's going to be a spot. There might be another name we'll get to here in a little bit that could be a good fit for Oklahoma State. Perhaps the biggest name in the transfer portal is Clemson quarterback DJ Uiagalelei, who, when he subbed in for the injured Trevor Lawrence, looked like he was going to be the next great Clemson quarterback, and then he wasn't good at all last year. Played a little bit better this season, but still went through bouts of just straight up not playing well at all, having real issues with the reliability, the playmaking from that standpoint there. He just wasn't consistent. There are a lot of 3-and-out. I think it's benched in the ACC championship game. It was for the best because had Clemson not benched DJU, it would have been a situation where they would not have won that game. I think North Carolina wins. Cade is now the future there. Clemson, and Uiagalelei will once again be a transfer. West Coast has been heavily hinted at for DJU, going a little bit closer to home there. But this is our pinned comments on today's video, because I don't know if he actually is. Is DJU actually a good quarterback? Type in Y for yes, he is, or type in N for no, he is not. It's a pinned comment. If the ad break comes here on YouTube, take advantage of it. Head down there and let me know. Number 4 on our list, and if we had done this a year ago, he probably would have been a little bit higher, even though he is still number 4. That's Brennan Armstrong, the quarterback from Virginia. Syracuse, by the way, has been heavily linked as a potential destination for Armstrong to reunite him with some of his old coaching staff. Maybe no better example of just massive regression from what he was last year when there was legitimate NFL draft buzz around Armstrong to what he was this year for Virginia, who, of course, went through some tragedy off the field. But on the field, they just didn't play very well at all. Armstrong just wasn't good. He went from 65.2% and almost 4,500 yards and 31 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. Fantastic production in what was his 4th year, by the way, at Virginia. He was there for 5 years total. It's a massive regression, a 10% drop that is huge. barely 2,000 yards, 7 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. The transfer's needed, and the hope is he can recapture his 2021 form. Jeff Sims is next up here, the Georgia Tech quarterback who has been up and down in his career so far with some high-end flashes, athletic ability, you name it, but hasn't been consistent, especially as a pure passer. But the dual threat will be appealing for many players, or many teams, I should say. In his career, 25 games, under 58%, not great. A little high on the turnovers, but the dual threat, the passing, there's talent there. But on a bad Georgia Tech team, probably wasn't the best spot to try to grow and develop. I'm curious where Jeff Sims ends up, because there is plenty of upside there with the athlete and arm strength. Are you wasting money on subscriptions? 80% of people have subscriptions they forgot about. Maybe it's an unused Amazon Prime account or a Hulu account that never gets streamed anymore. There's this great app I use that helps me track all of my expenses. And because of it, I no longer waste money on subscriptions that I don't even use. You might have heard of it. It's called Rocket Money, formerly known as Truebill. The app shows all your subscriptions in one place and then cancels for you whatever you don't want anymore. Rocket Money can even find subscriptions you didn't know you were paying for. You may have even found out you've been double charged for a subscription. And unlike having to call or cancel and spend a lot of time doing it on Rocket Money, all you have to do is just press cancel, and Rocket Money takes care of the rest. Get rid of useless subscriptions with Rocket Money now. Go to rocketmoney.com/NFL daily to help you save potentially hundreds per year. That's right. rocketmoney.com/NFL daily. Links in the comment section and the description of today's show. To the surprise of nobody, Hudson Card is in the transfer portal. That makes sense with Arch Manning coming to Texas here soon. Card has had some starts for Texas. He's done a decent job of not turning the ball over, not the elite playmaker you want either. I wonder if a team like Oklahoma State, I mentioned them, they're losing Spencer Sanders. Card could make a lot of sense for Oklahoma State as they shuffle around the quarterback position. Time now for a player who is once again in the transfer portal. That is Austin Reed. So he signed with Southern Illinois coming out of high school, transferred into West Florida, won a D2 national title at one point, goes to Western Kentucky where all the air raid quarterbacks wants to go, and he throws for over 4,000 yards, 36 scores, 10 interceptions. This is the type of player who is using the portal to his advantage. Goes to Southern Illinois, West Florida, now makes his way to Western Kentucky, and could jump up to maybe a lower tier group of 5 school following the footsteps of some other QBs in this style of offense. And I think for this type of player, the transfer portal is really good. You're helping your long-term potential football career because you're able to transfer without having to set out a season because you're so good. But there are some arguments that maybe it's not great because a lot of players who hit the portal don't find new homes. So is the transfer portal good for college football? Type in G for it's good or B for it's bad. Number 8, Drew Pyne of Notre Dame, who was not the starter to begin this year for the Fighting Irish. That was Tyler Buckner. He hits the portal reportedly because Notre Dame said they were going to take a transfer quarterback, and Pyne didn't want to compete with that kid and Buckner, and he's going to go find the new spot there. Not the best size, but he held up pretty well, and I thought outplayed Buckner, even despite the injury for Tyler this year. Pyne can be a starter somewhere in college football, and I think that's exactly what he'll end up finding. Number 9, Graham Mertz from Wisconsin. Now, Badger fans got Luke Fickell, so I can be mean to them again here. I remember you guys telling me Graham Mertz was going to be a Heisman contender and was going to be the greatest quarterback ever. Has not been the case for Wisconsin, which we can blame the offensive coaching staff and supporting cast. It got worse and worse, it seemed, under Paul Chryst. Mertz never quite hit the flashes we saw in his very first year for Wisconsin. Under 58% this past year, not even a 2-to-1 touchdown interception ratio. He's rightfully looking for a new home. We have basically daily college football transfer portal news, notes, rumors, updates because it's chaos out there. This is your one-stop shop to make sure you're actually in the loop with what's going on and not getting got by all the fake accounts out there. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Free videos every single day at youtube.com/@chatsports. Let's go to Luke Altmyer, who I think is a bigger name than maybe the production reflects out of Ole Miss. Has had some starts in the past, but in a very small sample size this year, did not show that much ability. Lane Kiffin and co. did him a solid by keeping him in a redshirt stage this year, not burning a year of eligibility as he backed up Jackson Dart. he's looking for maybe G5 destination for Luke Altmyer. At number 11, it is JT Daniels. And thanks to the transfer portal, folks, we have, for the first time ever, a journeyman college football quarterback. This will be the 4th stop for JT Daniels, wherever he ends up going to. Spent 2 years at USC after enrolling a year early, which has never really worked out for anyone that I can remember. I'm sure there's an example, but I can't think of any. Georgia for 2 years, wasn't really the starter there. Goes to West Virginia, didn't play that great, and will now look for his 4th college football team since 2018, which is pretty wild, folks. We're also doing this again, like we did last year for the transfer portal. JT Daniels or Kaden SLOvs, who do you want? Daniels and Slovis were both at USC. The issue for Slovis, who, by the way, Pitt has already added Phil Jerkovich at quarterback, so that's an upgrade for them. He's not in this video either, is that Kaden SLOvis' numbers got worse every single year. 71 points. I think it was great in 2019, and then the completion percentage dips, and there's fewer touchdowns, fewer interceptions. It got worse in 2021 and then cratered in 2022. I don't like the offensive coaching staff overall there or the offensive game plan for Pitt. They want to run the football too much. But Slovis, unfortunately, has gotten worse every single year. So if you were a college football program, head coach, whatever, and you had to pick a transfer portal quarterback of these two names, who would it be? JT for JT Daniels or KS for Kedon SLOvs? We asked this question last year, and we're asking again this year, which is kind of crazy. Number 13 is Donovan Smith, the Texas Tech quarterback. Now, Smith battled some injuries this year, but some dual threat ability, flashed some ability. He had 66.1% completion rate, 19 touchdowns through the air or on the ground, only 8 turnovers, decent ratio there. Different scheme, different destination for Smith could lead to better results for him. Tech had a lot of injuries and shuffling at quarterback this season. Smith, I think, is correct to jump in the portal since it seems like Tyler Shuck will be their guy again this year. Very curious where he ends up because he could have a better fit and a better production next year somewhere else. Let's hit some action quarterbacks here. Number 14 is Brett Gabbert. And yes, that is Blaine Gabbert's younger brother. Now, the numbers look kind of weird, especially in 2020, 2022. He was banged up a lot this year. Did not get to play very much. Multiple injuries. Big red flag there. Really good in 2020. A lot of high-end production, despite not the best accuracy. Was a true freshman starter for Miami, and he also helped Miami win a MAC championship. 2020 was the COVID year. They only played a few games, so that's why the numbers look weird there. Overall, he's basically a 4-year starter in the portal. That should at least carry value for even bigger program backup. Colin Schlee, as it seems like all of the good Kent State players hit the portal after their head coach also jumps to go be Deion Sanders, OC at Colorado. Schlee's got some dual threat ability like many of those Kent State quarterbacks in recent memory do. Not the most accurate QB, but he is a higher-end starter from the MAC. Schlee just barely snuck in at number 15 over a rather lengthy and long list of transfer portal quarterbacks who we could have discussed, but we do want to give the G5 a little bit of love here at Chat Sports. If you missed anything here, hey, we got you guys covered. Slide on my DMs at What Going Down Here, or just subscribe here on YouTube for free videos and our live show later this afternoon right here on Chat Sports.